Whoopsie, we only get 5 minutes per clip, so here's the second part of the chapter. She gave me a narrow look. The poor man burned to death, Lillian. Every bit of him. Apart from what they found. It's called spontaneous human something or other. Even with half a name, it didn't make much sense to me. People's bodies didn't burn by themselves. Mum took the paper from me gently. You've frightened yourself enough now, haven't you? No, but it had stirred me up rather. And Mum, noticing this, as she always did, quickly homed in on other news stories. Look, Lil, that archaeologist Howard Carter has gone back to Egypt to start digging again for Tutankhamun's tomb. One last go, apparently. Your granddad'd be interested, won't he? He wouldn't. Grandad had no time for Mr. Carter. That glory boy, he called him. Without Lord Carnarvon's money, you wouldn't even afford the train ride to London. Only because it's Egypt, I said to Mum. To say my granddad adored Egypt was an understatement. He'd named his Siamese cat Nefertiti after the Queen. He'd travelled there years ago and been in love with the place ever since. It rubbed off on me, this fascination of his. Not that I had a flying pig's chance of ever going there, but still. As for the feet story, I couldn't shake it off. It stayed with me all day, through Latin, French, triple maths, and a science lesson about flammable liquids, bizarrely. To be blunt, school was a drag. I hated the place, or more precisely, St Kilda's College for Girls. Everyone was so proper and so snooty with it. Yet listening to Mum and Dad, you'd have thought our ship had well and truly come in when the scholarship offer arrived. Such an opportunity, Lillian. It's your chance for a brighter future. But believe me, life was much simpler when I went to the same school as the other kids on our street. When I got home that night, the lights were off in our flat. The stove was cold. Dad was normally back before me, so it was a bit unusual. On the table, propped up against the salt pot, was a note from Mum. We weren't a note-leaving type of family, so I knew straight away that something had happened, and the jolt in my stomach told me the news was bad. Skimming the message, I saw the words hospital and Grandad, which troubled me even more. Only very sick people went to a hospital. You had to pay for your treatment, and Grandad always said plenty of folk who went in never came out. Guessing poor Nefertiti would be worried too, I took the spare key to Grandad's from his hook. I didn't want to stay there on my own, imagining awful things. I'd go and feed his beloved cat instead. Grandad lived a few streets above a shop that, according to the tatty sign above the door, sold rarities and antiques, though I'd never seen him sell a single thing. Inside was a treasure trove of maps, vases, unpacked boxes, and mouldy Turkish carpets stacked against the walls. He'd collected it from his travels, though Mum reckoned it was mostly rubbish and he needed to get a cleaner in. I covered the short distance to Grandad's at record pace. It was getting dark, the street lamps already lit, and the rain that had dampened me on the way back from school had turned to sleet. For November it was unusually cold. Grandad's shop was shut up and dark. His rooms above it had their own entrance round the back, through the gate and down the side alley. As I lifted the gate latch, something warm rubbed against my legs, making me jump. Oh, cat! I gasped out loud. Nefertiti bound ahead of me down the alley to wait on the back doorstep. It wasn't pitch black here by any means. The streets all around were well lit, yet a strange shivery feeling come over me. I didn't want to go any further, and I certainly didn't want to go inside Grandad's flat. Don't be stupid, I told myself. I'd only been here a few days ago for a usual Saturday afternoon tea. Yet even that, unusually my favourite part of the week, had been a little odd. He'd been drinking what Grandad called chai, dark sugary tea in little glasses, Egyptian style. It was a habit he had picked up from his travels. Nefertiti, as usual, was draped like a fur stole around his shoulders. I'd never seen her sit like that on anyone else.